The alleged ringleaders of one of Australia's largest pump and dump schemes are charged with market rigging. The Fair Work Commission to have a look at rules around part-time employment, and Paris locks down ahead of the Olympics. Welcome to Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. It is Wednesday, the 24th of July, 2024. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, coming up after the show, you have an interview with Bruce Wolpe, Senior Fellow at the United States Studies Centre.
Yeah, look, Bruce is talking to us about what's going on in US politics, an expert in the area, a bit of a Democrat too. So he is kind of excited that Kamala Harris has taken the job over Joe Biden, but he's got a warning. I mean, Kamala Harris getting the gig running for president doesn't mean she's going to win it. So we talk to Bruce about exactly what's going on in US politics right now.
Yeah, and he knows this space so well. It is worth sticking around for. It's coming up later on. The main story this morning, though, Sean, 4 alleged ringleaders of one of the country's largest pump and dump schemes have been charged with conspiracy to commit market rigging and false trading. This is Wolf of Wall Street type stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is. The 4 were charged in Downing Centre local court in Sydney yesterday. They're also charged with dealing with the proceeds of crime in relation to the money allegedly obtained from the scheme. They face a maximum of 15 years jail or up to $1 million in fines. Now, Telegram is an instant messaging service, and a Telegram group is a chat room where people communicate either in the open or in secret. ASIC alleges the 4 were the admin group of the ASX Pump and Dump Group Telegram channel. Back in 2021, ASIC warned the members that they were engaging in illegal activity, and the regulator has been chasing members of the Telegram channel ever since. ASIC claims hundreds of members were attempting to manipulate the share prices of ASX-listed small caps, mostly resource companies. The regulator alleges the share prices of these companies soared, in some cases almost 100%, before collapsing again.
So just kind of explain how this all works, Sean, because it's a fascinating thing, isn't it?
Yeah, look, the nub of it is that pump and dump schemes manipulate the market and they're illegal. Mostly they work by brokers or groups artificially inflating the price of a stock they own. They might put out misleading positive statements, for example, or chat rooms might talk up a stock on really limited information, creating a frenzy, really, about a company. That's the pump part. When share prices rise, as they did in this case, those same people sell, booking a tidy profit. That's the dump part. The poor investor who listened to the misleading statements or group chats and acted on them, they end up being the losers. As you said, it was demonstrated in the movie Wolf of Wall Street best. It's been going on for as long as trading has been happening, though very, very hard to catch. Private chat rooms can make pump and dump schemes easier nowadays. Now, ASIC Chair Joe Longo didn't mince his words yesterday. He said pump and dump schemes are a form of financial fraud, eroding investor wealth, threatening the integrity of our markets and potentially the Australian economy more broadly.
All right, taking a look at local markets now. How did they perform yesterday?
The S&P ASX 200 closed up 0.5% to 7,971 points. The tech stocks did best, following a strong lead-in from Wall Street, while healthcare stocks, industrials and consumer discretionary companies also outperformed. Worst on the day were the energy companies. Now, CSL was a strong performer yesterday, so too Commonwealth Bank. BHP slide continues. It's now worth $210 billion. That's actually $13 billion less than Commonwealth Bank. It was a little more than a week ago. It was the biggest company on the bourse, so that changeover has occurred very rapidly. In corporate news, Transurban said it will partner with the Queensland government to widen the western section of the state's Logan motorway. Burns treatment developer PolyNovo outlined growing demand for the company's products in conflict zones and developing countries. Revenue last financial year was up more than 50%. Its share price jumped more than 7% yesterday, the best of the top 200. Also, Wesfarmers and JB Hi-Fi hit record highs. Finally, Lynas Rare Earths said the June quarter was marked by lower production due to maintenance works and falling prices for its products.
And what about international markets? What's going on?
Well, Wall Street closed higher yesterday morning with tech stocks leading the way. NVDA jumped nearly 5%. Tesla was up even more. Michael, one stock not doing so well is CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity group responsible for last week's global IT outage.
That's somewhat to be expected, isn't it, though,
Yeah,
Sean?
look, it is. Well, what's probably a bit of a surprise, it's often 25% since the botched update. I'm kind of surprised it's only 25%.
That's a fair point, considering the billions of dollars of damage that has been done around the world.
Yeah. Look, the market seems to have settled down just a little bit after all the shenanigans going on in US politics. That supported the US dollar, pushing the Australian dollar down to 66.3 US cents. That's actually a 1 month low. It's pretty much been heading down for most of the last 2 weeks. Still pressure on commodity prices. Gold fell back below 2,400 US dollars an ounce over the past 24 hours. That's probably likely to continue.
I think that's the first time you've used the word shenanigans on Fear and Greed, and I hope it's not the last.
Yeah, look, it's a word we should use more, shenanigans.
Yeah, well, it sums up so much of what we talk about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
particularly when we're getting into US politics. Now, Sean, very quick mention of the fact that today is Wednesday, which means it is newsletter day. The Fear and Greed newsletter is out every Wednesday morning. It comes out about 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30 sometimes. And it is chock-a-block full of your views on a whole bunch of stories. And I have a bit of an inkling that you might be revealing your thoughts on the shenanigans in US politics.
Ah, yes, definitely a bit on the shenanigans in US politics. How can you miss it? Yeah, it's, plenty of interesting news and views on this one, Michael. Certainly US politics, but there's more than that.
You haven't started it yet, have you?
No, that's the point.
Yeah. I just love how you suddenly go really vague about the content, about what's kind of the stories, and it's just all very kind of bit teasery, bit kind of cryptic. I love it. Anyway, head along to fearandgreed.com.au and pop your email address in, and you will get the Fear and Greed free weekly newsletter that lands in your inbox mid-morning. Head along to the website, sign up for that one. Sean, we'll be back in a moment with the rest of the day's business news. Sean, the Fair Work Commission will conduct a fundamental review of part-time employment rules to establish a standard model in awards. It also wants to determine a new working from home clause in the Clark's Award that could be a model to operate across industries.
The review comes after a smaller inquiry initiated last year by the Albanese government couldn't find consensus among employers and unions, according to a report in The Australian. Commission President Adam Hatcher said the part-time employment review, to commence next year, will examine daily and weekly minimum hours of work for part-time employment and the circumstances in which working hours may be altered and additional hours may be worked. Now, the government wants awards made easier to use, but it does oppose changes that could result in any reduction of entitlements for award-covered employees. After the smaller inquiry, the Commission said in general terms, employer organisations sought greater flexibility and the ability to unilaterally alter hours of work, while unions focused on greater predictability for employees and worker control over part-time hours of work. I think the work from home aspect of this fundamental review is going to be very interesting because it's something that I think many employers are grappling with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the country's biggest builders and developers say the CFMEU's grip on the construction sector has sent costs skyrocketing and damaged productivity, yet they're reluctant to speak out publicly, fearing retaliation from the militant union.
One unidentified source in a story in the Fin review said, and I quote, "There's a lot I could say, but to be honest, I'm still very wary of publicly making any comments and could not risk our name being attached to any comments for fear of retribution," end quote. The Fin report says the comment was echoed by the leaders across construction and property development. A bit scary, I think. The CFMEU scandal, which alleges bikie gangs, bags of cash, bullying, poor behaviour by the union, etc., has forced the Albanese government into putting the CFMEU into external administration. The Fair Work Ombudsman has also been asked to review all CFMEU enterprise agreements connected to Victoria's $100 billion big build infrastructure pipeline. Also, Federal Infrastructure Minister Catherine King has directed her department to review construction projects overseen by government business enterprises, including the new Western Sydney Airport and the Inland Rail.
Sean, Woodside Energy's share price fell 4% yesterday after it said the cost of its massive Scarborough LNG project in Western Australia will cost an extra $500 million US.
Yeah, that takes the cost of developing Scarborough to $12.5 billion US, which isn't far off 20 billion Aussie dollars. Massive project. Woodside's up for about 2/3 of that total amount. The first gas is scheduled for 2026 and the cost increase was blamed on scope maturation of the Pluto Train 1 project, which will take gas from the offshore field and process it for export. Now, this is an incredible project. It's 375 kilometres off the Pilbara coast of Western Australia. It's 2/3 complete. The gas will be extracted and then piped 430 kilometres to an onshore facility. When fully operational, it's expected to produce around 8 million tonnes of gas per annum. The announcement yesterday came as the group said June quarter revenue was up 2%, even though oil and gas production slipped. Of course, on Monday, Woodside said it will buy US LNG company Tellurian for $1.2 billion US. Plenty going on at that company.
Yeah, certainly is. And staying in the world of gas, which is not really something I get to say that often, the Albanese government has given the green light to a new round of gas exploration.
Yes, the government now supports gas as a transition energy, of course, and new gas offshore exploration permits cover both the Otway and Sorrel basins. They're off Victoria and Tasmania. However, in an effort to somewhat soften the environmental backlash, which has already occurred, the government has also finalised 10 permits to allow exploration of carbon capture and storage to trap emissions from gas projects.
Now, how about this one? In an effort to recover its, well, I think you could say somewhat battered reputation, Optus is allowing customers to try its mobile network for 1 week for free, for nothing.
Yeah, during the trial, customers will have access to 30 gigabytes of data, unlimited standard national calls and 1,000 standard national text messages over a 7-day period. The company's not requiring any payment details from customers. That's the part I liked. The trial is available through the My Optus app and on any eSIM-capable device. Most smartphones released in the past couple of years are eSIM-capable nowadays. Now, according to a report in the Sydney Morning Herald, customers can keep their current number and current provider and use the app to switch between services. Optus, of course, lost thousands of customers as a result of last year's outage, which affected 10 million people. The trial represents an open challenge for customers to compare Optus to their current provider, the telco says.
I reckon this is a really smart idea, Sean.
Yeah.
And I think, because when I read this story yesterday, I suddenly thought, because I'm with another provider altogether, and really I'm not that happy with the coverage that I get within my house. And when I'm trying to make calls, it's always a bit patchy. But you don't want to go and shift to another provider without knowing that that the reception's going to be any better. Now I can test it out for a week and actually see whether Optus is going to do it. So this is kind of targeting the Thompson household. Sign me up.
It's targeting the Aylmer household too, because, I mean, I pay for one of the kids and it's quite expensive. And I thought, I might just try this for a week and see. And if it's cheaper and as good, I'll swap.
We might do a bit of a live trial right here, Sean.
Maybe.
Here we go. Turning to international news now, and Vice President Kamala Harris is virtually assured of being the Democrats' nominee in the presidential poll, lining up against Donald Trump after picking up more than enough pledged delegates in just 48 hours.
Ms. Harris has a tight stranglehold on the job and no one is coming out to oppose her. She's already campaigning in battleground states and was due to appear in Wisconsin overnight. She's hinted at how she might attack Donald Trump, referring to her past pursuing predators and fraudsters when she was San Francisco District Attorney and California's Attorney General. The speculation now is about her running mate, with a number of state governors considered attractive options. Ms. Harris's supporters say she will mobilise younger and more liberal voters, consolidate black support and bring sharp debating skills against Mr. Trump. Others fear her race and gender will work against her.
Yeah, definitely stick around to have a listen to Bruce Wolpe's take on all of this straight after the show. Tesla chief executive Elon Musk says the EV maker will have humanoid robots ready for internal use next year and hopefully be producing them for other companies by 2026. As soon as I say humanoid robots, do you think of C-3PO from Star Wars?
Yeah, totally. No, that's exactly what I think of, C-3PO. And I like this story because we can say humanoid robots.
Yeah, again, humanoid robots, shenanigans. There's a day of firsts.
It is. Tesla's been working on the robot for several years as part of its efforts to expand into robotics and artificial intelligence. In a post on X, Mr. Musk said he believed the humanoid robots will be, and I quote, genuinely useful, which probably suggests everything previously haven't been genuinely useful. Anyway, Tesla wants the robots to help produce its cars more efficiently, complete difficult chores and reduce labour shortages. Musk showed off a prototype version in 2022 of a humanoid robot called Optimus. You might remember that one, Michael. It took a few steps, waved to the crowd, a few basic dance moves, I think. Not overly impressive.
Kind of looked like you on a Saturday night.
Late on a Saturday night.
Yeah. A few basic dance moves, bit of a wave to the crowd, then head off home. Anyway, sorry, Sean. Police, serious story, this one to finish on. Police are locking down large sections of Paris ahead of the Olympic Games as France, which is familiar, of course, with terrorist attacks, wrestles with security in temporary venues.
So Paris is Europe's most densely populated capital. It's home to people of many, many cultures. One of the biggest challenges is the opening ceremony on Friday night. That's Saturday morning Australian time. About 80 boats are carrying athletes along the Seine for about 6 kilometres, flanked by some 320,000 spectators, residential buildings on both sides. There will be a central perimeter accessible only to pre-registered guests who will undergo body searches, according to a report in the FT. Bomb squads will comb the Seine's bridges, many of which will be closed, those famous bridges. Military units will occupy rooftops to combat possible drone strikes. France is also braced for potential cyber attacks, including from Russian hackers, which target forces, command infrastructure or hospital systems. The security challenge in Paris is enormous. It's going to cost about 335 million euros. That's about 550 million Aussie dollars.
That is a huge sum.
It is. Can't wait for it, though.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. The Olympics are always just such a spectacle, and it's the kind of thing that it doesn't matter what you watch, even if you are the least engaged sporting fan for the rest of the other kind of 3 years and 50 weeks, you are glued to the TV during the Olympics.
Yep, totally. I love it.
Now, did you like how long it took me to figure out how many how many weeks?
3 years and 52 minus 50, 52 minus 250. 3 years, 50. Weeks.
Oh God, I was going so well, and then I fell at the very last story in the show today, Sean. That is a shame. Up next is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Bruce Wolpe, Senior Fellow at the United States Studies Center, is your guest, joining us from the US.
Yep, all about all the shenanigans, we decided to call it, the shenanigans going on in US politics, particularly around the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris and her chances against Donald Trump.
Yeah, and Bruce, of course, has worked with the Barack Obama administration. He knows this stuff just so well, so it is worth a listen to what he has to say. Up next in the Fear and Greed playlist on your podcast platform or at fearandgreed.com.au, which is also where you can sign up for the free weekly newsletter, which comes out mid-morning. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Wednesday, the 24th of July, 2024. Make sure you're following the podcast, and please join us online on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was Fear and Greed. Have a great day.